Today we'll be making together cranberry white chocolate cookies. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel H&E Life. So today, instead of doing something medical, I thought I can do something more fun. So I'm going to show everyone how to bake one of my favorite cookies. And this is a shout out to Raghu, who this is his favorite cookie, and he basically asked for this video. So today we are going to make white chocolate cranberry cookies. What we'll need is 1 stick of butter at room temperature. And when I say at room temperature, you should be able to press it and you should be able to basically kind of do that with it. And then you'll also need half a cup of brown sugar and half a cup of white sugar, which I have put together in one bowl. You will need 1.5 cups of flour, some vanilla. Here is some homemade vanilla extract, 1 egg. You'll also need 1 teaspoon of baking soda and just a sprinkle of salt. 1 cup of craisins and 3/4 of a cup of white chocolate chips. And then finally, 1 to 3 tablespoons of whole milk. This one is something you don't put right away into the dough. It's something you use to help wet the dough for the consistency that we want. Other things you'll need is a baking sheet, parchment paper, of course an oven. The oven temperature will be set as 325. And from start to finish, if you skip the refrigeration time, the cookies will be ready in about 20 minutes because it only takes about 12 minutes to bake. All right, so we'll start making our cookies. Oh, special note about the stand mixer. I've had the stand mixer for about 7.5 years and it's been amazing. I first got this in my first year of medical school from my now hubby, before boyfriend, who got it for me for my birthday present in my very first year of med school. So yeah, special meaning, and also it's been a workhorse. But you don't need a stand mixer to make cookies. All you need is a mixing bowl and a whisk. If you have the arm power, you could do this whole thing by hand. If you don't, you could do what I used to do, was basically tell Sunny, my husband, that he needs to come here and start whipping for me. And if you don't have that, you could also get one of those handheld electric mixers that costs about 20 bucks, I think, and that will work just as well. Cookies are very simple. You don't need fancy tools. So let's start. When you're making cookies, you always want to start by mixing the sugar and the butter, and you want to whip it until it is fluffy consistency. So as you can see right now, the butter and sugar are basically mixing, but it's kind of chunky. We don't want it like this. We want it to be fluffy. Okay, so now you can see that the sugar butter mixture is starting to stick to the side of the bowl. This is about almost there. We want it a little bit more fluffy. Okay, so now you kind of see that you don't really see the individual granules of sugar anymore. So this is about good. Let me get a spatula real quick. And then we could just push the butter sugar mixture into the mixer so it will mix well with our other ingredients. So next we will crack in our egg. And then we will add 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. And then we'll mix again. Okay. So now our mixture is mixed. We want to scrape it down a little bit and then just mix it real quick again. You always want to scrape down the side of your bowls because you don't want unmixed stuff stuck to the bottom of your mixing bowl, and I think that happens quite frequently with the stand mixers because they need a certain gap between the paddle and the bottom of the bowl so it can spin without damaging anything. Now we could just go ahead and add all of our dry ingredients. So sprinkle in the flour, all of it in one go. So there's a lot of people who says when you put in your flour, you should sieve it so you get very fine individual flaky flour. But honestly, I feel like unless you're making something really delicate like a cake, you probably can get away with not doing it. All right, so now we have our baking powder and our salt. And then gently mix it until a dough forms. And this is the point where our milk comes in, because when you're measuring things by cups and tablespoons, it's not the most accurate. The best way to do it would be with a scale and you measure everything by weight. Well, cookies don't have to be that precise. So the milk here is just to help in case we have too much dry ingredients to wet ingredients. Actually, what I see here, it looks pretty good. It's not that dry. It's very malleable. All right, and then we're just gonna go ahead and toss in our cranberries. All right, and then the white chocolate chips. Oh, there is something I want to mention about white chocolate chips. In the baking world, when you buy baking chocolate, is it dark chocolate or milk chocolate? It's pretty safe, that's chocolate. But when you're buying white chocolate chips, sometimes even white chocolate baking bar, you have to look at the ingredients. The ingredient must say cocoa butter in it. And that is the only way to know you're actually buying real white chocolate, instead of buying something that has like hydrogenated oil and vanilla and stuff like that, because without any cocoa butter in it, you're just buying imitation white chocolate sugar pieces. So yeah, always look for that cocoa butter ingredient on the back of the box or the bag when you're buying white chocolate pieces. We just want a quick mix, and that way to incorporate everything into our cookie. I'm just gonna do the rest by my spatula by hand, and the dough is basically it. This is the dough. You don't want something that's too wet, and you don't want something that's too dry. If it's too dry, especially with a stand mixer, you'll know, because your stand mixer will start groaning at you and be like, I don't want to work with this anymore. Then you know it's time to add in a little milk to help it out. So this is really good cookie dough texture. You see, I could press down on it and it's moldable. And if I want to, I'll take it out. I could roll it into a ball and it looks great. From here, you could go straight away, roll these out into little balls and put it on your baking sheet and bake it. But what I like to do is to put it in the fridge for like 30 minutes so to get a little more cool. That way it will help the cookies hold its shape while it's baking, so it doesn't spread out to becomes a thin sheet cookie. It's kind of more like a mound cookie. We'll see you in a little bit then. We're back, and this dough has been in the fridge for about 45 minutes, and we could start. You could use, a cookie scooper like this, or if you wanted to use a simple spoon, and it'll be a little rougher, but it's a rough estimate. Since the dough has been in the fridge, it's a little tougher to scoop, but here you go. About a tablespoon of cookie dough. All right, and you just flatten it a little so it looks like a little disc mound, and you just put it on, and then we'll just keep doing it. Okay, or we just use it with a spoon. Baking cookies is super simple, super fast, and it makes a decent amount of dessert for you to eat by yourself or to share. I really enjoy baking a lot because I enjoy the happy faces on the people who I give my baked goods to. It brings me a lot of joy, so this is why I do it. I actually never started baking until senior year of college. let's say when I first started baking, it was horrible. The first time I got an idea that I could bake something was Valentine's Day, my senior year of college, and I was like, oh, I should bake a cake for my boyfriend at the time. And I was thinking, wow, how hard can it be? It's just like, you know, find a recipe online and you just do it. And so I found this like strawberry cake recipe with a white chocolate ganache frosting or something like that. It's like a whipped frosting. So what I am doing is I made the cake following the recipe, and it turned out to be a complete disastrous mess. The cake itself was way too wet because, you know, fresh strawberries in a cake, too much moisture. So that was horrible and dense, really dense. And then the recipe says you want to melt the white chocolate in your whipped creams, in your heavy whipping cream, so you could make the whipped white chocolate frosting. I decided to heat up the cream, and I think I probably heated up way too hot, but I did melt the chocolate, and once it cooled, it's like, all right, start whipping. And at that time, well, I didn't have anything. I literally just had a whisk, and I like stood there whisking that thing forever, and then it just turned out to be this goopy mess. So in the end, it was 1 hour before my boyfriend came back from classes. I ran out to the local convenience store, bought store-bought frosting, and just like smushed all that together, and it looked horrible. And he came back, I was like, happy Valentine's Day, and guess what? And I was like, here. He's like, oh, it looks so good, just to make me feel better. And he took a bite, and I know it tasted like crap because it was a very dense, wet cake and store-bought frosting. And he's like, so good. And I was like, oh God, you don't have to eat another bite, because I tried before I served it to him and it was quite nasty. So since then, I've come quite a long time. All right, so I have put out 12 cookies worth on my baking sheet. I'm gonna pop it in the oven, and then I'm gonna do another round of, probably looks like I probably have enough dough for another 12 or 14 more cookies, and it will just go into my preheated oven at 325 for about 10 to 12 minutes. I like baking my cookies a little lower than the traditional 350 because it allows the cookie to, I feel like, retain the moisture better. I like a moist cookie instead of like those kind of crispy cookies. All right, we'll be right back too. So my dog Yuna, she loves it when I'm in the kitchen because she knows something good is happening. So you probably hear her walking around as I'm talking. I'll just feed her a little tiny piece of cookie dough without any of the craisins or without any of the chocolate, especially not the chocolate. Yuna, come here. Come here, girl. Yuna, come here. Yuna, come here. Sit. Good girl. You want some cookie dough? Ready? Good girl. All right, back to cookie making. All right, so it's been 12 minutes of baking. Let's check on the cookies. So they look a little pale to me, so I'm gonna put them back in and set the timer for another 2 minutes to bake. What you want is your cookies just be slightly brown at the edges. So we'll check back in 2 minutes. All right, so after time's up, got the cookies here. You could just leave them on the baking sheet. It'll actually cook it just slightly longer with the residual heat, and then it should be good. Yep, like I said, what you want to look for is a slight browning of the edges. And what you want is for your cookies to be easily movable. If your cookies are still kind of like sticky and goopy onto your sheet, then it's underbaked and you should just put it back in the oven for a little longer. We'll let these cool down a little bit, and then we'll have my husband Sunny be our taste tester. Oh, Ragu, I bet you're so jealous. All right, the cookies have cooled down a bit. You can see that they have a nice brown, light brown underside, and that's how I like my cookies. If they're a little too dark, then I feel like they're a little hard. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please check out my Instagram account, which I will link below to see, for you to see more of my baking. This recipe is super simple. I really hope you try it out at home and comment down below how it turned out for you, or if you have any questions. Wow, why don't we have a cookie tasting? We'll have my cameraman and my husband, Sunny, come over to have a cookie, and he'll let us know how it goes.
I'm so excited. It's the highlight of my day. Oh, it's perfect.
It's perfect?
It's perfect.
Alright, well, I hope you like this video, so please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!